Our Guru Paramhansa Yogananda, he said one of his missions was to revive original Christianity as taught by Christ and original yoga as taught by Krishna, and to show their essential unity. Following his intentions, Swami Kriyananda wrote this book, Rays of the One Light. This is weekly commentary on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Each week discusses a certain spiritual topic, drawing references and examples from these two scriptures. And as many of you already know, we take satsang topics from these weekly commentaries, as many other Ananda centers. And this week's topic is Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is Sunday before Easter Sunday, and this marks the day when Jesus made a triumphant entry into Jerusalem. It was time of the festival, and many people were gathering into the city from all over the country. And there, the words are spreading that, did you hear the miracles that Jesus performed? Is he really the Messiah? Is he coming for this festival? Is he going to say that he is the King of Israel and free us from the oppression? So that was when Jesus made this entry. He was riding on a donkey, and people were spreading their clothes and branches of palm trees on the road to make the way for him. And people were praising him, King of Israel, King of Israel. Nobody, even his closest disciples, imagined within a week he will be arrested, persecuted, and crucified. But of course, Jesus was aware what's coming. And yet, instead of, feeling down or depressed, he let this celebration and praise happen. In the human eyes or in the worldly eyes, so this Palm Sunday marks the highest point, or most glorious point in Jesus' life. And then a few days later, the lowest, the tragedy or crucifixion comes. But he wasn't affected by either ups or downs of life. He took both with perfect calmness and equanimity. In the Bible, Jesus calls himself sometimes Son of Man, and then other times he calls himself Son of God. And Yoganandaji explained, Jesus used this phrase, Son of Man, when he was referring to his human form. So for example, he said, the Son of Man has to be lifted up, indicating or hinting that his body will be crucified. Then what is Son of God? That's the indwelling Christ consciousness in him. The consciousness that is one with the infinite, with God. And Jesus and all other gurus or other saints of all religions, they were human. They ate, they walked, they slept, they laughed, but always with that consciousness of being with God. Then, so how is it relevant to us? Paramhansa Yogananda talks about a story of a lion who became a sheep. So this young lion cub, got separated from his mother at his birth. And somehow he ended up being in a flock of sheep. And he grew up thinking that he's a sheep. A few years later, this lion cub is, growing bigger and looks like a lion, but he's still living as a sheep. And one day, another lion came and saw a lion in the middle of the flock of sheep. And what's going on? Let me go and ask. So he approaches, and this sheep lion ran away and saying, don't come to me, don't eat me, don't kill me, thinking he's weak and meek. So this other lion, he says, what's going on, brother? Let me take you. Come with me. So he takes this sheep lion to the lake nearby and says, look at yourself. So the sheep lion comes and looks at himself, the reflection of his face on the water, and surprised, I'm not a sheep, I'm a lion. And this is what's happening to us often. We are the lion who forgot our divine nature, all-powerful divine nature. And instead of living in that mighty divine nature, we cry with fear, worry, weakness, failure. Jesus and all other great ones, they come on earth not just to show they are the sons of God. They come to show us, to remind us, we too can be son of God. Just like that another lion who came and dragged the sheep lion. Fundamentally, or in potential, there's no difference between us and these great masters. The difference is the awareness of that truth, of that reality, the higher reality. Over the years, we get so used to this body, this personality, and define ourselves in certain way. This is how I am. This is what I can do. This is what I cannot do. We put limits on ourselves, and we suffer because of it. This outward personality, we think this is fixed, but not really. This is just a result of how we have lived till now, in this life and in previous many lifetimes. If we change now, 10 years from now, who knows how our personality will be? And as Yogananda ji said, habit can be changed in a day. If we decide to change, we will change. And that has nothing to do with who we really are. Yogananda ji said Saint Francis of Assisi, Yogananda ji called Saint Francis as his patron saint. And there's a story of Saint Francis. One day, while Saint Francis was away, 3 bandits came to his monastery. And the monk who was taking care of the place, there was a monk, and then these 3 bandits, they came asking for help because they were being chased by people in town. So they were running away and asking for help. Can we stay here? Can we come in? And this monk said, oh, no way, you are such evil people. How can you come into this sacred place? Go away. So the bandits had to find some other way. Saint Francis came back and heard what happened. And he told this monk that, please go and find them. I need to meet them. So the monk went out. Luckily, he was able to find these 3 bandits, and they came. Saint Francis, he welcomed these 3 bandits, saying, my brothers. And he asked for forgiveness for not helping them earlier. And these bandits were confused because usually people will confront them saying, why are you doing this to us? But what Saint Francis said was, why are you doing this to yourself? This is not who you are. That faith that Saint Francis had in their potential, in their goodness, inside, that was really shocking to these bandits. No one had said such things to them. And the story continues. These guys eventually became monks and lived very holy life because of that one encounter. We need to give to ourselves that kind of faith instead of, I failed again, or I couldn't do this. Just give that faith to yourself that you have all the potential you need within you already. Paramhansa Yogananda often said that the greatest sin is to call yourself a sinner. As long as you think you cannot do or you cannot rise above the challenges, you will not be able to rise above. When we face difficulties or challenges, we tend to think, okay, I have to understand what the problem is. Then I'll be able to figure out a solution. What happens then is you start thinking about the problem. Problem becomes bigger and bigger. You become smaller and smaller. These teachings say the best way to face the test is to expand your consciousness by living in God, by living in light, by living in joy. Swami Kriyananda said, you don't have to understand the darkness in order to live in the light. We have that potential. We all come from God. We are going back there. We are already light. We don't have to understand darkness. And we have a choice whether we become awake in that reality, highest reality, or we stay in delusion. So let us remember to choose that highest truth. Let's remember to live in that highest reality that is already there within us.
So this week's topic, Awaken to Divine Reality. Paramhansa Yogananda says that all the masters came to this earth. They were born on this earth not to show how great they were, how many healings they can do, or how many miracles they can make it happen. Miracles they can perform, but to show what and how we can live and how we can be, what is our potential. They came us to awaken us to our divine reality. Now this divine reality, or Why should I awake to divine reality? Might be a question. And the answer is very easy. Just take a moment to reflect back on our lives. When we were in school or when we were kids, we were crying for toys and chocolate. Then, when we go into high school, we are afraid of our maths teacher, our grades, and there is peer pressure then in a teenage. And then in college again, we have to prepare ourselves for the future. We are worried about what job would I get, and will I be able to sustain myself on my own? And then comes marriage again. Will I get a life partner? How will it be? So if you see that there is always something to worry about. Have we ever been constantly happy for a long period of time? No. There is always ups and downs in this reality. When we are a sheep lion, when we are son of man, then our reality is joy and sorrow. And sometimes sorrow lasts longer than joy. Or even if it doesn't, we tend to remember sorrow more often and cling on to that even when joy comes our way. The alternate potential we have, that's why the saints come on earth, is to say, hey, there is another reality. Wake up and realize that you are not a son of man, but you are a son of God. And what is this reality? How will it be? Paramhansa Yogananda gives us a glimpse in his poem Samadhi. He says of a state, of a reality, the true reality of all our souls. And he also says that we tend to think that we are human beings, we have a body, but we are not this body, we are a soul. He looks at it in a different way. He says, hey, you are a soul and you are given a body. Prioritize it rightly. And when you realize that you are soul, when you experience it, he writes it in a poem, vanished the veils of light and shade, lifted every vapor of sorrow. Every vapor of sorrow. No sorrow exists then in that awakened state. Gone the dim sensory mirage. Love, hate, health, disease, life and death. Everything ceased to exist. He also says that anger, greed, good, bad, salvation, lust, all these things can be transmuted in that divine state. And he describes that state, the divine, after once we are awakened to our divine potential, our reality, he says, tranquil, unbroken thrill, eternally living, ever new peace. Just try to tune into those words. Tranquil, unbroken thrill, eternally living, ever new peace. That is our reality. And how can I get there? How can I reach there? Well, all the techniques are given to us. The path of yoga helps us to awaken ourselves to our own divine reality. Meditate on Om. Paramhansa Yogananda has given this prayer, O cosmic sound of Om, guide me, be with me, lead me from darkness to light, from ignorance to wisdom, from disease to health, from poverty to prosperity, and from misery to eternal joy. Imagine all those things which we need, all those things which we want to escape from: poverty, disease, misery, ignorance. And if we want what we want, wisdom, health, prosperity, misery, everything we will get if we are attuned with the sound of Om. And sound of Om will take there. What if you say that, oh, I am not able to concentrate on sound of Om? Then, well, we have another technique for it. Practice Hongsa. With every breath, affirm that I am He, I am Spirit. That's our true reality. And once masters are masters say in that reality, no misery, no sorrow exist. And we need to make effort. That's true, that we need to make all that effort, but I'll read a few lines from Autobiography of Yogi. This is a footnote which Paramhansa Yogananda has given. Man in his waking state puts forth innumerable efforts for experiencing sensual pleasures. We put forth innumerable efforts to experience sensory pleasures. When the entire group of sensory organs are fatigued, he forgets even that pleasure on hand, that is the inward pleasure, that we are soul, the joy within, and goes to sleep in order to enjoy rest in the soul of his own nature. Shankara, the great Vedantist, has written, ultra-sensual bliss is thus extremely easy of attainment. Here we are thinking that awakening to our divine reality or becoming the Son of God is difficult because we need to meditate, we need to do tapasya, and then we will realize that we are soul, then we will become enlightened. But Shankara says it otherwise. He says that man puts forth innumerable efforts for sensory pleasures, and for yoga, which gives lasting joy, you need not put that much effort you put to live happily in this earth plane. He says, ultra-sensual bliss, which is samadhi, which is the divine awakening, is thus extremely easy of attainment and is far superior to sense delight, which always ends in disgust. So the effort for that in relation is easy. Imagine in a given day of 24 hours, if we meditate 1 hour towards gaining that ultra-sensual bliss, rest 23 hours we are investing in how to be happy in this earth, right? And that always doesn't give us the results. See, look at the proportion. So ultra-sensual bliss is even more easy to attain, provided you put the 20, you inverse the proportion of, the investment of time and energy towards what you need. And of course, the third point, one is meditating on Om, practicing Hongsa, practicing all the techniques, and being in Satsang. Being in Satsang will definitely help you to realize that you are a son of God. Imagine that, relate to that story which Chika shared. A lion which is amidst sheep will consider itself sheep. All of us present here who are affirming right now through meditation, through the satsang, through the prayers, through the readings of Paramhansa Yogananda that we are sons of God, we are His children, we have a better chance. And that's why we are all blessed with this huge family. So always satsang and this practice that will easily help us to awaken into our divine reality. Thank you.